Hello and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for joining me in another of my wonderful interviews. Today we're going to go and explore a little bit about the auric field or the biofield. We're going to find out about quantum physics and we're going to find out how we are grounding, or at least not me, but my guests are grounding people to the earth grid. So I've been told. Now you may say, oh, hang on, this sounds all a bit woo-woo, but bear with us one moment. This might be the video that you would otherwise have missed. I am going to be talking to the lovely ladies from the Crystal Water Experience. They are Dr. Joe and Kelly, and they join me now. Hello, I can see Kelly is already lined up there. Hello, Kelly.
Hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thank you so much for joining me. And Dr. Joe.
Hey everyone, thank you very much for inviting us on the show, Richard. Me and Kelly are big fans of everything
Oh,
you're doing. So we just want to say, first of all, we're so grateful for everything that you're doing. It's brilliant and, carry on. So thank you so much for everything you're doing.
well, that's perfectly all right. A little bit of flattery gets you on the show.
Ah.
But no, thank you. I appreciate that. So, yes, now, the thing is, I know that whenever I put a video up that sort of looks a little bit spiritual, is a bit woo-woo, or is a bit sort of energy related, people get a bit nervous and I don't always get the views, which is a real shame because these are good things that you're doing and other people like-minded doing about health and how we can get out of the problems that are being thrust upon us. And so if people are still with us at this point, what can we expect from this conversation that people will go, right, I'm going to definitely listen to this?
Go on, Joe. Take the seat.
Okay, guys, we live in a quantum universe. This is all proven with quantum physics, but I'm not going to bore you with that. We're going to show you how everything that they are doing is completely powerless when you understand how to detox yourself and boost your life force energy. That's it.
Wow. Okay. Now we all know that we sort of detox from time to time when we get one of these sort of weird, experiences like flu or illnesses or other things. And so detoxing is something, and people go away for weekends, don't they, or weeks, or they go off into the different countries and spend time to sort of center themselves and all of that. But maybe there are shorter ways of doing that, and ways that we can do it with everyday objects like water, but it has to be a certain type of water.
I would agree with this, Richard. So when I first of all started on this journey myself, because you start on a journey, you realize, oh my gosh, everything's poison. What can I do? I first learned how to detox myself. And now I'm a massive advocate of, and I teach people how to detox. And it's a 5-step process, which everybody knows. The very first step is water, because what I found was people were like taking supplements and doing all this crazy stuff. But I would say 50, maybe even 60, 70% of people's symptoms, which is like allergies, inflammation, lifelong illnesses, went with the water. And it's as simple as that.
Now, this isn't the tap water that you get out that's fluoridated and full of chlorine and all sorts of other nasty products. Obviously, people have got to clean up their water.
Absolutely. And there's lots of different ways you can do that. So everyone starts off by removing tap water and then bottled water, because that's just as toxic. And actually, that works really well. But there are other stages you can go even further. You can add Celtic sea salts, which remineralizes you, and you can then start structuring your water. And this is where the magic happens. And it really just wakes you up. You become completely different. You're more compass mentis, you're more focused, you're more, I don't know, you're just more alive because the water is living. And this started myself on this journey of trying to measure this effect and really try and understand why structuring the water cured my cats of cataracts. And
Wow.
and yeah, exactly. And that, it's not placebo effect, is it? And also one of them had a kidney disease, which was going to be fatal. And the vet said that was cleared. Structured water, that was it.
No, as you say, it's very difficult to run a placebo with a cat. You say, take this pill and this really will make you better. Oh, meow. So how are you structuring the water?
Well, actually, me and Kelly do it slightly differently. There's lots of different ways to structure water. When water comes naturally, out of the ground. It's moving. And look
Right.
at Victor Schoberger, and he proved this like to his detriment actually over many years. So you can buy like a water stirrer which vortexes your water. But basically, you can get Kelly, explain your method. This is what Kelly does, and it's just
Yeah.
as effective.
So all I do, Richard, basically structure my water. I've got a big copper spoon, which is about this long, and I
Uh-huh.
literally get into it. It's always distilled water that I use, and I stir the water clockwise and then anti-clockwise, and that just gives the water a structure like it's in nature. So it's swirling around. It's as it's meant to be. So that's what I do.
So would you do that in a big jug, like at the beginning of the day, or in your glass or cup if you've
You can
if you've
Um,
just taken
I
it?
I do mine in the jug that's come from the distiller, so the water from the distiller just drops through, and I do it in there. But I also do it just in cups of water as well. We all do it with our tea, and we stir our
Yeah.
tea. We're essentially kind of structuring the water in a sense with doing that.
And
It's a
and have you got to do it for any length of time? Is it like a vigorous frothing up of the water to get oxygen into it, or is it just a shorter version?
Well, so I've done some experiments on this, on germination, by structuring water in different ways. So
Right.
when your water's living, you will get seed germination a lot faster. So
And,
I've
and
tested.
and on your website, I just point out because you sent me some videos on your website. You do this experiment with seeds, and you've used ordinary water and then structured water, and you can see that the difference in
Yes.
that the seeds are sprouting much earlier. I just thought I'd
Yeah,
mention it.
yeah, this is exactly right. And we can do that right without structuring the water, but putting the disc on, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I first of all did the germination experiments quite a while ago and looked at all different ways of structuring water. And the result is the same. It doesn't matter. So it's
Right.
really, really not complicated, people. And let me say, so order out of chaos. When you structure the water, it remains structured unless you do something to unstructure it. Plastic destructures water. And this is
Right.
why when you get your vegetables and you put them, you can cut them up and you put them in a glass container, they will last for a week. You cut them up and put them in Tupperware and it'll last you a day or two before it goes soggy because it's unstructured in the water. And actually, if you take a drop of structured water and put it in unstructured water, it will structure water. And this is because water is a polar molecule. It's got a positive and a negative charge. So they all line up in a pretty line.
So, oh, I see. So if you've got like, if I had structured this little glass of water, and there's not much in there left now because I've been sipping it, and I had a big tank of water that I was going to put in my van, not for the radiator, but for to drink, in a camper van, and I might not be able to stir that up, but if I just put a few drops of this in, the rest of the water would structure up.
Yes. Except for
That's
I do
amazing.
think that your container is probably plastic, so it'll destructure over time. So you probably need
Oh yes.
a stir inside. But absolutely. In fact, they found because I did this experiment and they worked out because water also holds memory. So you've got a structure and you've got information. And this is what I explain to people, like the structure matters because it goes into your cell when it's structured, when it's all clumped up. You probably did an experiment at school with iron filings and then you made them line up neatly. They
Oh
will go
yeah.
into your aquaporins inside your cell. When they're all clumped up, they can't get in and they sit around the interstitial tissue. And this is where the parasites live. And that's why structuring water is so good for, so good for your health. But it's a structure, it's called hexagonal water. And then when you've got frequencies coming in, when you've got a hexagonal structure, it will hold those frequencies. You've heard people going to sound baths, things like this. And I explain this. If I was going to play a note and it was in a square box room or a cathedral, it will sound different because the frequencies will be bouncing off. So when you understand everything is frequency, then the structure of the water, which is what we are made up of, when 99%, when you look at atomically what we are, of water, the structure of that water matters. You get to hold your frequency and you're not so battered around by all the other frequencies out there.
And now, I mean, you mentioned frequencies, and as it happens, as I often do, sit under these LED lights, and I've got computer and screens, and outside, not too far, is a 4G tower. They're bunging up 5G towers, which are, likely to, well, the fear is that they're going to radiate our brain. There's a mobile, I try to keep my mobile phone away from me as far as possible most of the time, and on airplane mode when I'm not using it. But even so, my neighbour's got a modem as well, and I've got a modem, and my other neighbour's got a modem, and the people across the road have got a modem, and who knows what electricity is running underneath the road or nearby. We're being radiated. How can we sort of protect ourselves from those sort of frequencies, which we've learned are not ideal or healthy?
I'm going to hand over to Kelly to tell you what she's researched over these last 5 years and tell you what you've gone. But let me just say something. You cannot block EMF, right? You are EMF. What you need is things that are in harmony with you. You are an orchestra, and all these frequencies are like a brass band.
All right.
And
you play the violin.
yeah, but you also know that when they harmonize with you, I mean, there's a lot of house music with, classical music underneath. When you harmonize it, it's fine. So you grow your bioforce energy, your biofield, and this stuff bounces off of you because
Right.
you are connected to the earth grid, which is what grounding is. The earth grid is enormous. That little mobile phone or even that 5G tower is nowhere near as powerful as the whole earth. So maybe, Kelly, you can explain how you were measuring people's. Richard said, I heard what he said. He's got his mobile phone and it's on aeroplane mode. But he wants me to tell you about this.
Uh-oh,
Yeah.
here we go.
Yeah. All right. Thanks for that, Joe. So this was probably about 4.5 years ago. I went to a mind, body, and spirit fair, and they were measuring energy fields, finding that mobile phones were destroying the energy field. And I was like, okay, that's really interesting. The kind of non-PhD scientific mind just kicked in, and I thought there's got to be a way of grounding people without getting your feet wet, as Joe quite cutely says. And yeah, so I was testing people's biofields, and when people had the shoes off, the energetic field was absolutely ginormous, especially children's. Children's is absolutely massive until they hit to about the age of 14. But as soon as you put your shoes back on, your auric field goes to just a few inches, like say about a foot from your chest.
Right.
So what happens is the negative ions from the ground is in constant flow. So I always imagine this as like the picture up there, the circle. So you're constantly connected to the earth grid when you've got when you haven't got your shoes on, and as soon as you put your shoes on, it's like a bit of a rainbow, and it's just going like that. So you're disconnected. So what I created a number of years ago was things to put on the back of the phone that will harmonize the frequencies that are coming in. So when I tested people's biofield when they had one of the stickers on their phone, the original ones that I made, their auric field just expanded as if they were grounded to the earth grid again. So and even more so sometimes. So then I went on a journey of kind of like design different ones, then had a different business and I did it there. And then when myself and Joe come together, we found a better way of doing it. And that's how the Crystal Water Experience basically started, wasn't it, Joe?
Yeah.
So just so I can get this completely into my head, and the audience can, those that are like me, that maybe not as up to speed as we perhaps should be, can you first of all tell me what's a biofield? I mean, I think I've got an idea because I did interview somebody about it, but also what's the difference between a biofield and an auric field? And does it matter if you're, I mean, mostly if people are in towns and things, they've got very limited access to the earth per se. I'm in a house which has wooden floorboards, and if I take my shoes off, I've had it tested by a chap with an EMF meter, and it was only in the kitchen that I had ceramic tiles. Could I sort of get the voltage down? And of course, if I'm on grass and stuff, then obviously I'm more connected. But yeah, go back to the first question: the biofield and the auric field, and are they similar or the same?
They're the same thing, just a different name. And when people talk about auras, they're just talking about the frequencies, which you see as color. Okay, but we're talking about the same thing. This is not woo-woo, and I'll prove it. When you're sitting next to somebody, you feel them next to you. You don't have to touch them. They're in your personal space. That means they're in your biofield. You're not just a solid object. You can feel things. whether you touch them or not, right?
So Kelly said that when measuring the biofield, how do you measure a biofield?
So I measure the biofield with, I haven't got them with me actually, dowsing rods. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
copper dowsing rods, and they pick up someone's electromagnetic field or biofield, whichever you want to call it. Because we are
So,
radiating that electromagnetic field all the time. So when the dowsing rods settle, you will just kind of, with your intention, they become an extension of you. They become an extension of your biofield. So then you will hold the rods so they go like this. Wish I had mine with me now. And when they pick up that person's biofield, they will start to open like this.
so you're moving towards them slowly, and then they
Yeah, or
do that.
they're walking to me. So you have
Or
to
they're,
be very,
yeah.
very still and let them settle. And then when the person's walking towards you or vice versa, they'll start to move.
Oh, I see.
When they're stopped at their auric field, when they're about to enter it, they'll just cross over like
You
that.
might be
Right.
able to see on the video that we were talking about before Richard, because we do live demonstrations of this and people are really shocked.
Yeah,
Yes.
and that's the live demonstrations always wow people because it's so there's no getting away from it. I mean, I've measured people that have not you don't even need a spiritual bone in your body. Seeing is believing, and when they see that, they're like, well, there's no getting away from that. You can see that I'm not moving them; they're moving of their own accord, and it's like, oh my gosh. But then even more so when they've got the phone in the hand and you've shown them that your biofield is say like 2 foot across from your chest. As soon as you pick up your phone, then it completely goes to nothing. And it's even really upsetting when you see children because that is our life force energy.
Yes. Now, I can't remember whether you said while we were recording or whether it was just before we started recording about children being completely disconnected when they're sitting on their phones and you call them for dinner and they can't hear you because they're totally disconnected.
This is exactly what's happening. So this is why they're sitting there on, with their phones and any electronic device. So just go back to the what you were saying before. Anything with a battery that's charged is an electromagnetic field. That's what a battery is. And
Right.
this field is going the opposite way round. It's going anti-clockwise compared with your field. That's why it disrupts your field. So these children are disconnected. They're in a world and a bubble of their own. They have their earphones, anything with a battery, gaming device. This is why when you call them, you go, your dinner's ready. You are just totally disconnected. Whereas if
And is that these modern lithium type batteries or all the old fashioned batteries like the double A's and the whatever they were the ever ready batteries that you used to put in the 9-volt square things, or does it not any
all
make any difference?
batteries have a magnetic field, that's
Right.
how motors work.
Okay. Thank you very much.
That's all right. So effectively, yeah, anything with a charge, then it charge, and the charge is going the opposite way around to your field. And we've never lived in this environment before.
No.
My children are, they're like everybody else's buggers, right? And they've got these things in their ears. And but I can see how disconnected they are. So then just to be able to find Kelly and just put one of these on their phone, it's like it's massive peace of mind. But there is a difference with them. I can kind of get them out of it. I'm like, hey, dinner. They might not play up.
So when you say you've got what patches that you put on the phone?
Well, I think we probably got to go to explain
Yes.
exactly how we probably make these patches. They look very simple, but the
Yep.
science behind it
But
is not
yeah,
so simple.
I can see a bit better maybe.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that phone just there. So, uh, Kelly has downloaded a quantum frequency trace. So a trace is something that you might see, let's say in a polygraph test, and you see the wiggly lines. It's like a graph. It's called a
Right.
trace, and it's a frequency trace. And we'll probably explain why Kelly can do this, but she's one in probably 8 billion. We haven't found anybody else that can do this.
So hang on, just trying to. So you've got to accept I'm a bit dense. So is that the same as when you say it's I can't remember what you said.
Quantum frequency.
Quantum frequency trace. Is that the same as a trace of that there's look, there's a trace of something there?
Oh,
Or
no,
is
no.
it,
A trace is a graph that just goes on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is frequency that you found,
Yes.
or that's there that is constant.
Yes. So if you imagine that everything's frequency, the Schumann resonance, if everyone wants to go and have a look at that, has a
Right.
frequency. But there are many frequencies of the Earth, because if you imagine that different frequencies are different colors, you look at the Earth and it's different colors, because it's got different frequencies. That's all, and our eyes perceive it and translate it into a color, but we're looking at different frequencies
Right.
on the magnetic spectrum. So
Okay.
so Kelly can convert it into a written form. She needs to have a pen, which is very high concentration of a specific pen with lots of carbon black in, because carbon has got charge in it, and that's why carbon is so important. So she can writes it down, this frequency trace. We'll have to talk about this in a minute. Maybe Kelly can explain this automatic writing. But once you've created this trace, when you put water over that trace, the water then has the frequency encoded in the water. And then we put the water on these shields, which are a toroidal field, and they are permanently locked in place. In fact, we've tested them. Kelly's made ones from like 5 years ago. They're still as strong, because there's quite a lot of phone stickers out there, but we can test them, and we have been tested them, and they don't work, I'm afraid. This is very different technology.
Okay, so this is, I mean, for a lot of people, this might be a bit of a leap of faith.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to be cynical at all. It's just that I've interviewed so many different people who do so many different weird and wacky things. However, so just, so you can't use an ordinary pen or whatever to get this trace down. It has to be full of carbon, and carbon is, so you mentioned automatic writing there. So this is what, something that Kelly, explain it. How do you down 1 in 8 billion people or whatever it was that Dr. Joe said. How does it work?
Good question. Very good question. So the way it works is I connect to the frequency of nature. That's what I do. In like
How? I mean, what do you do to connect to the frequency
so
of nature?
in a meditative state, I'll connect to nature. It's something that I was able to do after a life, basically near death illness.
Oh, right.
We call from kind of disability to unlocking the secrets of the universe in our big workshops. And what happened to me, I started to unlock knowledge that I never had before. I started to learn about quantum, well, not learn, know about quantum physics, have this knowledge about water and sacred geometry and all this kind of thing. And when I'd hold my pen to a piece of paper, my hand will start to move by itself. And it was doing this for a while before I even knew what it was and what it was for. So
Right.
it was a lot of study over many of years of what it was for. So being very intuitive, I kind of tapped into my inner knowing, and it transpired that this is the frequency of nature. This is the organic blueprint of nature's frequency that continuously just flows through me all of the time. And with what Joe said about having the carbon black as well, so that's very important. Or like a graphite pencil, because it's so it has more of an essence of nature within it. So I put it onto the paper, and it just, like I say, it just flows through me. It's very
So you're
hard
effectively drawing a line,
yeah, that's it.
a wig. I mean, in
Yeah.
layman's terms,
And
a
then
wiggly line.
encode it with this really high vibrational, high tech like language as well, which it'll go in a line across the trace, which we call a frequency trace. And then my pen will stop, and then it will start to write this like a light code language, and it'll go all the way down. So it's like a letter T, and that's the code completed then. And then that's what we embed into the products and into the water and things like that.
So Richard,
Yeah.
this is Kelly 2.0.
Right.
Kelly was supposed to die. She did die, but she woke up the next day, very similarly to what she was before. That's why I call her Kelly 2.0, except for we're missing bits of her life. For instance, the first 5 years of her daughter. And when she woke up, which nobody expected her to wake up, because she had basically a fatal disease. When she woke up, she all of a sudden had abilities that she never had before.
Yeah.
And you didn't have a spiritual bone in your body before then, did you, Cal?
Absolutely not. Because when I was in the hospital and we went to the chapel, and my friend was like, "Let's go and meditate," and I was like, "What?" Sitting with all these weirdos, like meditating, looking around, going, "What am I doing?" So it wasn't like, it wasn't spiritual at all. And then this happened to me, but it took a lot of unpicking over years to realize what was actually happening.
And
So, sorry, Joe.
and the thing is this has been done before in different ways. We know you can embed frequency into matter. This is not the first time this has been done. So this process is being done before. And this is why we want to carefully measure it, and why we teach workshops, because people say, oh, you're holding a pendulum, you're doing this, that, the other. I'm like, yeah, man, you try it. We can teach people, right, at the end of a mobile phone, doing a voice, a WhatsApp call, they can hold it. We can give them codes and they can see for themselves. And they're like, oh my gosh, you can feel it. And this is a strange thing, right? All this stuff is around us. Anyone can do this, but we get taught this is woo woo, this is nonsense. And yet, all gas engineers and water engineers, they prefer using dowsing rods to their equipment because it's more accurate.
Mm-hmm.
That's interesting. So how do you get from the written scribble, let's say, or the trace written down on a piece of paper, how do you get that into the water?
Interesting question. Do you want to answer it, Joe?
You can do.
So because the water will grab the frequency very easily because of the high vibrational nature of the frequency, you just place the glass of water on the frequency, and then the frequency will embed into the water more or less instantly. So if you look at the work of Veda Austin, I don't know if you know her, an amazing
Yes.
lady. So it's the same process where you put it on the water, you show it the image, and then it embeds into the water. So
Right. Okay. No. So I have seen, and I've read Dr. Emoto's book,
that's it. Yeah.
where he does it with the crystals and stuff, and that's where I think it's a Veda. Is it a Veda? What's the name?
Veda Austin.
Austin. Who, if you write things like love or something like that, and you put the water over it,
And then freeze
and then
it.
freeze it, you get these amazing pictures.
That's it. That's it. So it was on that same concept, and that's what I started to do when I started to see the frequency. I started to do different pictures and different intentions, and was amazed by the whole thing. And then I put it over a frequency one day, put it in the freezer, and when I took it out the freezer, my hand was just like shaking because the frequency was literally in the water, and it was so strong. And I printed the picture off, and even the picture had such a high vibration, the pendulum was just going crazy. And even someone holding that picture up and doing the dowsing rod check on them, their auric field would go massive. And that's just by a printed picture.
So if just off the spare of my moment here, if I write the word on a bit of paper, which I've got here, if I write the word, say, love.
Yeah.
And now I don't know whether to write it in capital letters or lowercase letters.
I'll explain this to you actually. When you write the letter, look,
Yeah.
right, and you connect the letters up with cursive writing, when you test that with a pendulum, it's got hardly any movement. Cursive is dead.
Because you're cursing.
This is why people say, exactly, because you're cursing yourself. But you measure it with a pendulum, and you'll find the pendulum hardly swings, but it will do something. When you separate the letters, it then will have a frequency, which you can measure by this, or you can do the Veda Austin method. And it's really simple how you do it. Everyone should be doing this to see this with water.
So I mean, I've written that, you can't really see it, but I've written on there the word love, and then if I place my glass of water over it.
Yes.
Now I haven't really stirred it up or anything. I may have done to begin with because I put some Celtic sea salt in and gave it a zap.
Yeah.
But so now it's on the water. So will that absorb the vibration of love, or the frequency of love? And then if I drink that, presumably that's going to get into all the water that's inside me and give me a glowing love vibration. Is that?
100%. It's so simple. And
Well,
people
I should
don't
just do
realise
that
how
one
simple it is.
moment.
You should do that while you do that. And this is what we measured over the summer. So we did Hope Festival, we did Freedom Fest in Leicestershire, and we got a bottle, just a crappy bottle of Buxton spring water, and we transformed the water, and then we just gave it to. We measured everyone's field, and we had to make them wear shoes because we're out in the field, right? And we measured their field, and it was like the end of their arm. Each one person was different. We then gave the first person the water to drink, and then measured their field after it had been boosted with one of these shields. Because you can write it yourself. Our shields can really boost you, right? Okay, so, and we know this. This is kind of with a control group. So we did the first person, and their field went massive, and the whole audience went, oh, and we went, wait, we've not finished yet. If you touch the shoulder of the second person, you will transfer that to them. And they didn't believe it. They were like, what are you on about? She did. We just took a hair, placed it on the next person within their field, and their field grew. And we did this in a line of like 6 people. And we say, this is the power of love. The high frequencies and the high vibrations do this. And you can prove it. This is not woo-woo. There's no point looking on the internet to see whether this is true. Get yourself a dowsing rod, come to one of our workshops. We've got some spaces left on Saturday. Go and get one of these fields, put it on your phone. You have to feel the difference. It's irrelevant what I say. This is real. This is happening. And, you know, we want this on every kid's phone because it's criminal what's happening, and we can do
Sure.
about it.
So, I mean, what is the advantage? I mean, you extend the field, but what's the benefit of that then?
Well, all the healing frequencies of nature is in the organic earth template grid. That's why they've made all your clothes out of plastic. That's why everything is completely surrounded by plastic. But you have the power to regenerate yourself constantly. And so people are talking to me, oh, the 5G doing this, 5G doing that. Do you know what? Does not affect me. It never has affected me. It's irrelevant because I look after my bioforce energy. That's all I need to do. So I don't want all this stuff to happen, but of course I don't. But it doesn't affect you when you boost your bioforce energy. We are so powerful, Richard. We are so powerful.
Yes, people keep. I mean, every time I have a guest, they keep telling me we're all so powerful that we're all of this and all that, and it's like, well, it'd be nice to actually exude that power so that we don't have these issues with all the nonsense and the fear that's being thrust down at us. How do we utilize it?
Well,
when you say we're that powerful, how do we use this power that we have in us?
Well, first of all, I think our most prominent thing that we can do is to survive and thrive. That's the most important thing to do.
Well, that I would say that is a given, isn't it?
But
That we all want to
they're going to be
survive.
so pissed off with us doing so well,
Sort
right?
your water out mainly. Sort the water out, wouldn't you say, Joe?
So
You have to
exactly.
sort the water out. That is so paramount to protecting the biofield completely, isn't it?
Completely.
Mm.
Sort the water out. But once you've got a big auric field, do you know some people have like a magnetic personality and you can feel their energy? You
Yes.
feel them walk into the room. Well, imagine whenever you are negative, right? Whenever you're negative and intoxicated, you have no influence on anyone. And we saw this. We tried to tell people what was going on. They don't listen because you're not magnetic. When you grow your field and are positive, you don't even have to say anything to them. We are constantly communicating. We are like Wi-Fi routers, right? You can't, if I said a Wi-Fi router was just a box in the middle of the room, right? All right. And I couldn't get any signal, you'd be pretty pissed off with that box. We're the same, we're constantly communicating. And when your field is all shriveled up like this, you're not communicating at any other level. And when you have a big auric field, as well as you being very healthy and none of these toxins really affecting you, apart from that, you are influencing everybody. So when you've got one of these biofield defense shields, my field is probably about 10, 15 meters. I can't remember, it depends on the different environments, right? I'm sitting here affecting everybody in this circle around me just by my thoughts.
So, I mean, one of the things that, of course, a lot of people find difficult is the fact that you can't see any of this. So that if you can show people stuff that you can see because they can see it, and you instantly can say, oh yes, you can have a hose pipe and you can go, there's the water coming out of the hose pipe. That's easy to see. But when you say, and you can show with the dowsing rods the effect of something, but few people, it would seem, can actually see the aura. So how do you persuade people that it's worth getting into and doing it, and that they even have this field around them? Because you must get a lot of people who question and say, well, hold on a second, you're selling patches. How do I know it works? I can't see anything.
Well, you have to see the effects. I mean, that's the thing with lifeforce energy.
Yeah.
But we've got an experiment on there from the bio well. You can go and visualize your aura, because basically it's just a magnetic spectrum your eyes can't see. Well, not everyone can see, but at the end of the day, this is not. We're not saying to people invest £100 or £20,000. These are 29 quid, right? They last as long as you don't destroy the sticker. Well, we've tested them for 5 years so far, and you will feel the difference. We made them over the summer. We've probably sold now 250, I think. And the feedback we're getting is phenomenal. I mean, it's not a lot. And by the way, if everybody wants, we've got a discount code, especially for you, Richard, and your viewers.
Yes, you did send it. Yeah, that's right. You did send it in.
Yeah.
So if you go in the description and have a look, and I know some people, they say to me, Richard, I only watch on the telly. I can't see a description. Well, they'll have to log on to a YouTube channel somewhere to get it.
Richard Vobes 20. That's all you have to put in.
Oh, there you go.
And really, obviously, you've got to put your faith in us.
Yes, I mean, no, I have to ask these questions because if I don't, I'm trying to sort of understand it myself, and these are the sort of comments that you'll get in the thing is, well, you can't see it. How do you know that people, anybody can make some stickers to sell them, and that presumably is a problem. That in this whole, as you said at the beginning, I think it was Dr. Joe, you said we're not taught this stuff. We're taught a very narrow field of understanding of ourselves and the world around us. And anything you can't see, turns into myth. And let's face it, we've been so forced down the route of pharmaceuticals to heal you that even now, the complete logic and the sense of natural herbs and plants and medicinal things that we've used for generations and centuries, they mock as if, oh no, but then half the bloody pills they give you are made from these things in the first place, and you think, well, there's no point mocking something that you've taken the extract into your pill and now selling.
Exactly. We're always trying to find a way as well, because that's a very good point, Richard, is other ways to prove that this works. So like Joe said, we're doing the bio well, which is a box that you put your fingers in, and it tracks your auric field, and it shows different energies in different organs. So we've done that, haven't we? The videos on the website. And then we're always doing and trying to get people as well to do their experiments of their own. So I'm doing one at the moment with some basil plants, and it's just amazing that I put a bio sticker, defense shield on one of the pots and not one on the other, and the one that with the bio defense shield on is just thriving, where the other one's just kind of like had enough and like, oh, my leaves are going black and I don't want to do this anymore. But then I replicated the experiment by doing it with four of them, so they're all on my windowsill at the moment, and the difference in them is just amazing, and they even taste better and smell better. I've done a taste test with my daughter, and she's picked it right every single time. Joe's doing one at the minute with some fenugreek seeds, is it?
Yeah. I'm redoing the experiment.
And the speed that they're growing at compared to the ones with no biofield defense shield on, it's just incredible. So we're always trying to find different ways to prove to people that, this is a thing, this is real.
This is a thing, and it's so simple, but we're just told all this nonsense, aren't we? And I mean, at the end of the day, what I say to you, Richard, is I've really stuck my neck out in the last 5 years, and I'm using my scientific credentials to try and help people detox and everything. I'm not going to put my name on the line for something that's stupid.
No. I mean, if something was, it turns out that that is, let's say, is a scam, just for the sake of argument, once you get found out, as you say, your whole reputation is then you can't go anywhere because they go, oh yeah, that's a scam. So it would be pointless to do that. I've interviewed over the last couple of years so many interesting people that have similar. Not necessarily products, but I mean, I spoke to Lady Sunshine in Australia only the other day, and she was telling me about the fact that, just by talking to your plants and giving the love to your plants, they respond.
Yeah.
And obviously, I've had water people on, and again, they said, give structured water to your plant, they respond. So this isn't as barking mad as it might sound on the face of it, because there are so many different things you can't see are really affecting all of us. And let's face it, the EMFs that you can't see, we know are affecting us.
Exactly.
And more sensitive people who really don't want a smart meter in their house, because they know they get headaches and they get this, that, and the other. Again, things you can't see. So it's funny how people can accept the things you can't see, which make a detrimental effect on them. They go, oh yeah, no, that's really bad. That's a smart meter. I don't want it. And yet you tell them that, hang on, this will give you the reverse benefit, but it is a thing you can't see. That they go, oh yeah, well, I'm a bit suspicious about that. It's like, well, hang on a minute. You'll accept this, but you won't accept that.
Exactly. That's what we're kind of here to do. I mean, our tagline for our business is when science and spirituality collide. Because
Right.
a PhD scientist, Dr. Joe Whitaker, that's the side of it we bring. We bring the both sides and marry it together. And we want to prove it to people that this isn't just a woo-woo thing. We don't just, flow around a field with caftan and smell of patchouli. This is like a thing, it's a proven fact. And that's why we're working alongside other people as well, so that to help us prove it also, and do some independent testing. We want people to call us out if we're wrong, and if they haven't found it. That's what makes everything, a good scientific study.
Yes.
So yeah,
and science on its own these days seems to have got a bit of a dirty world, because science is so easily to manipulate, like we see with the green agenda and the so-called man-made global warming, and the science is fixed, and actually, I think a lot of people now, and certainly a lot of my viewers, are very much inclined to sort of old world thinking rather than this very modern, you have to prove it to work. Try it. Go and do it. Try it. I certainly think, since I've been drinking clearer or filtered and reverse osmosis, and the one that you mentioned, Joe, what did you say? Distilled, yes, thank you. Water. I feel a lot better, and I know I'm better because I'm not drinking the tap water. But you can't, unless you electrify it and you can see all the crap that comes out of it, or you put it through the filter and see the rubbish. Ordinarily you can't see it. So I know that is a thing. And I had a chap on here who was energizing the water, and suddenly you were stronger and more powerful.
Yeah.
So,
We've tested that with these shields, by the way.
Sorry, say again.
We've tested these with these shields, by the way, because when you've got strong bioforce energy with kinesiology, you can test it. There's so many benefits. And by the way, you can put one of these stickers on your smart meter and it'll harmonize your smart meter.
Oh, will it? Oh, well, there you go.
And your Wi-Fi.
And your Wi-Fi, yeah. Well,
we have the answers, everyone, but I think you're absolutely right, Richard. We've been down so many rabbit holes. We've all been so disappointed. Every single time we go down a rabbit hole, we're like, oh my God, that's another thing.
Yeah.
And this is really important, right, that we have to know this. But now it's time to realize that we can do something about this. And we don't have to be a famous name, a celebrity. We don't have to be these people. There are ordinary people doing amazing things, and we just need to, work out.
Well, I certainly have more trust in ordinary people who are doing these amazing things than any celebrity or big name scientist, because you just wonder, well, who's behind you, who's backing you?
Exactly.
There's all that investment, whereas you ladies are sort of doing this because you clearly are invested in it and you love it and it's making a big difference and you're seeing the results firsthand, but you're not making millions and going, oh, well, we'll go and fleece another bunch of people. You know, it's working for you, which is terrific. There was another question I had, but it's just disappeared from my little tiny brain.
Can I just say one thing that there's a Facebook group that I run and it's called Challenge Me to Be Pain Free. So we're trying to launch, well, I have been doing it for the last 6 months, an experiment where we change the structure of people's water by a frequency. When they're at home, I'll draw a frequency, we'll hold it up to the camera, and it helps them with their pain. So what we're trying to do is to bring the fact that, you know, you don't have to have the skill that I've got or whatever. You can you can hold that glass up to the water, the screen, and it can embed that frequency into your water. You can put it in your bath, you can put it in your dog's bowl, whatever. And the results that we're getting are just amazing. We want to be able to tell people that you don't need to use paracetamol or painkillers. You can just use water.
Yes. No, I mean, do you think it's the fact that the solutions tend to be very simple?
That's,
you know, they're not complicated, and that's what people love, a good complicated thing. If you had to go bat of eye, newt of dog, you know, and had to do all this, they go, oh yeah, I can believe that because it's very complicated. But when you offer somebody, you know, all you got to do is very simple, and they go, oh well, it can't work then, can it? Because it's too simple. You know, we would have been doing that years ago. Well, funnily enough, probably people were doing it years ago.
Exactly. This is just old knowledge that's being brought to the forefront again. That's what I really truly believe. This is unlocked knowledge that's they probably used hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, who knows? But we've been so suppressed for so long.
And our lifestyle has become so complex and complicated, and you know, we're sitting behind screens, we're not social people anymore. We're living in environments with so many synthetics and plastics and petrochemicals.
Yeah. That's it, disconnected on purpose, and this is the whole point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where can people find out more about it and go and buy some of your patches and go to your workshops?
Do you want to go, Joe?
Well, we've got our workshop on Saturday. We've got 6 or 5 more places left. And if people just message us or
where is it?
It's in Buxton.
In Buxton, brilliant.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we're going to teach people how to do this. They can hold these pendulums and the dowsing rods for themselves. They can see for themselves. Okay, so this is like workshop number 1. And to get the shields, they just need to go on crystalwaterexperience.com. Sorry, it's a long name.
That's all right. I can put that in the.
We also have ones for water as well. It's not just the biofield defense shield. We also have ones that were created just specifically for water that you can put on your water distiller, your water bottle, your kids' bottle. You know, we've got a picture of them where Joe is now, and they just go on the bottles of water. And we have ones for the phone as well, so the 2 separate ones.
Yeah, that's
and that's it. That's an easy way of doing it, isn't it? If it can just stick on, it's not like a great big lump of something that you've got to bolt on or plug in.
There you go. That's all it is.
Exactly, and you're right, Richard. It looks too simple, and we've tried to figure out how to make it look more involved. I think the most magical thing about this whole thing is Kelly. But once we've got Kelly, we've just figured out a way to do this, right? And it's taken 7 years. I know it looks simple, but it is kind of complicated.
There's a whole lot of trauma to get to this point, Richard. So you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the fact that you had to die, I mean, that's a biggie, isn't it? You know.
Yeah.
Sorry, you've just got to die for a bit and then come back to life. And make sure you do come back to life, otherwise the whole plan is pointless. Yeah. No, that is a bit of a thing. I just on that note, just before we stop, but a lot of people would be interested. I mean, did you have a near-death experience with it? Did you sort of feel you were going, or do you not remember much about it?
I don't. I just remember waking up feeling like, even though I was ill as I possibly could be, I woke up knowing that I was going to be okay. And it didn't happen just kind of instantly. It was a process of a few days after, and I had missing memories of my daughter from being a baby. And then I worked at a place for 9 years, and I can barely remember it. just massive chunks of my memory. Been to St Michael's Mount on a holiday, can't remember it at all. I was in my 20s. So just these random things which I know that's just these moments in time, well, big moments in time that I'm missing. So I didn't see like the white pearly gates and all that kind of thing. Didn't have any of that. It was just this kind of blank. It was the opposite.
Right.
Actually. It's this blank moment, and then
And have you had the memory back since?
nope.
No.
Only when I look at photos, I'm like, yeah, that is me, but I don't remember that. But then I feel like I'm putting a fake memory to fit the picture, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah,
my eyes change colour. I have brown eyes and I get hazel eyes. My face looks completely different.
Are you somebody else?
Yeah.
Penny 2.0, like I said.
Yeah. We've been boosted. Oh, well, that's
same, but
that.
yeah, different.
So, but
Yeah. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us about it. Fascinating subject. And again, it's one of those things that I think we're going to see more of as more and more people start to realize that actually our narrow lives that's just the tip of the iceberg, to use a water expression. And water, because we are mainly water, how important is it to get the water right?
Oh, it's absolutely paramount. That's it. Like you say, we are water beings. We live on water, and that is the biggest thing we need to sort out. And that's where myself and Joe are coming along and showing people how they can do it themselves. And then if they don't want to do it themselves, we can help them. So it's not like, oh, buy this, buy this. We know. We can show you. Like, but if you can't be bothered, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
Empowering people, and that is exactly what we want to do. We want people to be able to do this for themselves.
Fantastic. I will put the links in the description so people can go and check you out and find out about your patches and your workshops, of course. And if people have been on the workshops, it'd be great to see what they make of it in the comments as well.
Absolutely.
But in the meantime, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. It's so nice to meet you. Honestly, it seems funny speaking to you, and I've been watching you for so long.
No, well, thank you very much for watching. It's very kind.
And thank you, Richard. Thank you for everybody for giving us the time. And we're always here to answer questions that people have. We're always helping people on the side detox. I get back to I've never not answered anybody's question about detoxing and health and anything. Sometimes it's a bit of a delay, but that,
I know that experience very well.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully you get plenty of replies and stuff to the video. I'm sure you will. So that'll keep you busy, if nothing else. But good luck. Good luck.
Thank you for watching.
Good luck in Buxton, and I hope it goes well. And any more workshops that you've got lined up. And let's hope people come and enjoy and give you feedback on the patches that they buy. I'd be interested to hear myself.
Thank you.
And I look forward to seeing you on another event somewhere along the line, as I'm sure our paths will cross.
Definitely. Thank you.
But there we are, ladies and gentlemen. There we go. That is Dr. Joe and Kelly with their, let me get this right. I wrote it down. I've turned it over on the wrong page. The Crystal Water Experience. Enjoy it and check it out in the description. I'll be back with more monologues and more wonderful guests. But in the meantime, from Kelly, Joe and myself, thank you very much for watching. Till next time, goodbye.